My name is Savannah Evans, Aquarius Maximus. I'm their Blockcoin. Hold on one second. I'm on mute. I'm the founder of Blockcoin. I am a data scientist, software engineer, marketing expert, speaker, soon to be author, in the field of blockchain and pretty much everything else technology right on the beat. I founded Blockcoin in 2017, and we launched our, I guess you could say, our stable blockchain last summer. So we're 1 year in, and we built a pretty extensive ecosystem surrounding Blockcoin and implementing this as primarily as a means of making an impact on Black and brown businesses and our communities globally. But we've grown to be so much more since then.
So my name is Atiba Martin. I'm here as said, an extra resource here and an extra mouth in the sense. I'm a musician. Been signed twice. We're signed to. Put about a month before a track before he produced the track. So did a deal with him. I saw on the radio with Regina known to other things, signed another deal. And since then, I've just been writing, putting out music independently. I work in the tech field as well. Nothing creative in the tech field. But yeah, so I've had a ton of experience when it comes to music, the music industry, performing, writing, and things of that nature. So I'm here as a resource. You don't have any questions about that, and I'm open after that.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Joe Ravisarda. I'm coming to you live from the East Coast up in New England, much farther away from you. I know it's warmer in Florida, but I am the hub up here in CT up in New England, trying to teach Bitcoin education, blockchain education, trying to convert everyone onto this new digital economy that's happening in the background that not many people know about. I'm an entrepreneur up here in CT, got multiple businesses, but one of the closest businesses that I can relate to probably to you, all y'all down there, is I do finance for a music label up here, Fresh Fruit Crew. Find us on freshfruit.com. But what we're trying to do right now is find the opportunities that are emerging in the Bitcoin and blockchain industry for musicians and artists to control and manage all the distribution and all of the money they make and all the content, because times are changing. You know, the day where the labels control all the distribution are ending. We're starting a new era where everyone control their own content online, and that's my goal, and that's our goal here, is to help teach you how to do that. My artist up here, Mike Flows is our major artist up here in CT. You can look him up online. But more importantly, Chill Shump on the beat. Chill Shump on the beat. You can look him up online. He's had a pretty successful last 2 years. Had a couple records go for Joyner Lucas. Also Lil Wayne about 7 months ago. We've been doing pretty well here in CT. Honestly, I think my crew owns all of Connecticut and Massachusetts right now. We're the major label, the major artist and production company up here on the East Coast. But what my artists are trying to do is very much different. We're trying to look into the next generation of music, and we're trying to figure out who's going to control, how can we leverage the internet to make our music go further and control it further than we have in the past. And like I was saying before, what we've realized is that the days where the music labels and all of these barriers to the industry that existed, that we had to go to them for their technology, we had to go to them for their distribution, we had to go through them for their marketing. Those days are coming to an end. The blockchain, Bitcoin, all this technology we're hearing about nowadays are going to allow you and us to create content, put it on a blockchain. You control that content. You control the distribution of that content. You control the money flow of that content, and you can be your own business. That is exactly what I'm trying to do up here in New England, and that's exactly what we're trying to do with you all, trying to help you with this. So you can let me know any details with my artist, Chris, which I can talk about.
Well, depending on what audience I'm talking to, the majority of the people I'm talking to, it points back to money. So the majority of people that I speak to, they're not techies, they don't know anything about blockchain, they don't really need to know anything about blockchain. What they need to know is that cryptocurrency is an alternative form of currency, and it's a currency that gives them options. It can be used in any scenario, depending on what type of cryptocurrency it is, pretty much today. Most, I'm not saying most, but many merchants and stores and stuff really are accepting it because now we have things like debit cards, we have MasterCard, Visa card, back debit cards, which allow you to use your cryptocurrency and spend it in a store that doesn't accept cryptocurrency. So this is money. And the second question people ask, well, if it's money, then what is it backed by? What is it get value? So the next thing I normally tell them is that it's backed by the same thing that the dollar is backed by, and that's faith. So, pretty much that's it in a nutshell. It's money.
TuneCore, all right. So I'll plug into that. And Devon, I feel like this ties into what you can bring to the community too. Is that all of these companies that everyone's known in the past, TuneCore, SoundCloud, iTunes. If anyone's been paying attention to Apple over the last 2 weeks, you've seen that iTunes and the Apple App Store has been fighting against Fortnite right now for control of ownership of those apps, those applications and games. So all of these companies that we knew in the past that were the big conglomerates, the iTunes, the Android, the App Store, the music labels that you knew about that prevented you from distributing your content to everyone else in the world in an efficient manner and getting paid in an efficient manner, that's all changing. So like platforms like TuneCore are definitely changing. Money, just like Kavana was saying, is changing. So, like distribution rights, control ownership, you can make your own money. You can literally be your own label in the tech world and control the content distribution, control your flow of money. And I think that's going to be the biggest change we're seeing right now. And I think that's what's going to change with TuneCore as well, a lot of these conglomerates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mark, you just asked the question on how does cryptocurrency help artists, their money, rights, their music, and how does it differ against traditional legal distribution?
Well, blockchain is something that provides different technological alternatives or different technological solutions to protecting your rights and protecting protecting your possessions. Not necessarily cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, again, that functions as either a store of value, or trade, or access to, as a utility token, you have access to a platform. But what blockchain does is it provides immutable data that can be tied to, pretty much tied to you and not tied to your personal identity. So there are many solutions that are being implemented on blockchain that have to do with ownership and rights. And the reason that it kind of it adds a little bit more legitimacy to it as well is because a blockchain is decentralized. Well, you might have decentralized blockchains. Not all blockchains are decentralized. Some of them are centralized blockchains. But when you have something that's decentralized, then that disrupts ownership in general and permissions in general. So you don't necessarily
She's saying
have
blockchain, right?
all of the power, so to speak, in a label or in a big company. The power is returned to the people when it comes to using something like blockchain.
So the number one thing I try to tell people is that everything you've known in the past about the internet has changed today. Up until today, online, we've all known that you could pirate files, right? Because the music industry taught us that you can make duplicate downloads, you can take screenshots of photos, you can duplicate a lot of digital documents. But the blockchain and the Bitcoin technology and a lot of what's coming out now is making it so your digital content, whatever you upload online, you can actually make that its own entity online where it is unique in itself and no one else can access that content. They cannot duplicate that content. They cannot recreate your content. You can actually own that content in the digital world today with blockchain, and that is exactly where we're going. The most important parts of that are, it started with sound money with Bitcoin, but now we're moving into a world where you can digitize any digital asset. For artists, what you need to understand is that you can take the songs you can create, you can take the art that you make in the physical world, and you can put it onto a blockchain, make that exist online where no one can access it other than you, and you can control who has access to that and how much money you make on that. And it's all done through cryptocurrencies and blockchain. Chris, I sent you links to library.com, lbry.com. This is one of the first decentralized video platforms we've seen. So you as content creators can upload videos on Library, and you don't have to worry about it being censored or taken down by YouTube or a lot of these conglomerates that exist today that are censoring and demonetizing platforms. A lot of what I want people to know now, though, especially the kids there, is that this is an industry that we're advancing quickly, but we're also similar to the 1980s and 90s where what exists tomorrow doesn't exist today. We're actively developing, so a lot of what we're talking about right now, get thinking about it, and then we're gonna get you building on it as soon as we can. But a lot of these future use cases are being built right now. So they don't exist right now. We're gonna tell you what you can do right now, and then we're gonna tell you what you can do tomorrow once it's built. One of the other websites that we talked about was Opus.audio, and then also anotemusic.com. These are
OPUS, OPUS.
That's opus.audio and anotemusic.com, ANOTE music.com. So one thing I'd love to probably hear from both Tavana and you, Atiba, as well, is maybe what you know about non-fungible tokens and these actual assets that we can get them on now to actually get their music uploaded online, because these are websites, Anote, and then also the Opus platform, where artists can upload their content onto these non-fungible tokens and then distribute them. That's ultimately what I'm trying to do right now with these guys.
So quick question, just to clarify, I'm not familiar with it at all, and I need to ultimately get familiar with it. I'm always telling young artists, I mentor a few artists, and I get to speak to a few younger artists, and I always tell them, build your audience, and you can pull all your digital information off of all those outlets and create your own app and do something to where you're subscription based. And so you get $2, pay $2 a month, and you get all this time to use. So the currency is the coin, but the blockchain, is that some kind of infrastructure or some kind of platform, or that has some sort of security that's applied to like your site or incorporated into the site? What's the difference between those two?
Well, blockchain is the underlying technology
Okay.
that cryptocurrency or these tokens and utilities work on. And there's different blockchains. So you have different platforms. Like you have Ethereum, which has a host of tokens, especially utility tokens that run on its platform. And then you have Bitcoin, which has its own blockchain, and Blockcoin, which has its own blockchain. So blockchain is the underlying technology behind that powers cryptocurrency. And a lot of the technologies that make up blockchain have been around for a very long time. Not really a very, very new thing. It's just the way that it's being used. And in the front end, in terms of us using it with private keys and wallets and stuff like that, that's a fairly recent thing that's into play. But blockchain it's an underlying technology, and blockchains differ. Although they all do the same thing, they all have immutable information that's stored. They all create and generate blocks, which is what carries the information. They all work on distributed nodes. So there's like nodes, like computers all across the internet that carry copies of the exact data, which actually, lends to the security of the blockchain. They all do similar things because a lot of the blockchains are built on Bitcoin Core. So it's Bitcoin Core that actually spawns all of these other different blockchains, cryptocurrency.
Gotcha. So they've got some core to them working that allows them all to somewhat integrate with each other.
Yeah, they're all, like I said, most blockchains have Bitcoin Core, except for the permission blockchains. Like if you have something like Hyperledger and stuff like that can create permission blockchains, they have other technologies. But most of the open source
did she say commission or permission?
Right now, like if you go to GitHub,
permission?
you see all of these different blockchains. They're all running on Bitcoin Core as the central part of it, and then they've all grown and they've they've expanded on the technology.
One thing I want to remind the audience of, Chris, too, is what is money and what do you have rights to for your money? Because I saw you said, people are asking how does cryptocurrency help to protect artists, their money, their rights to their music? Let's talk about money real quick. I want everyone to know here on this live stream that when you deposit money in a bank, you don't own that money. What you're doing is you're trusting the bank that you're depositing the money with, that they're going to hold those funds, and they're going to give you a return on that money annually. And we all know that because it's like 0.0002% or whatever it is. You might get a couple cents a year, right? What the banks actually do with your money is they take it and then they lend out more. They make loans. They make loans for mortgages. They make loans for car loans. They make loans to small businesses. And they take your money and they make those loans, right? And that's how they make money. Banks make money on loans. That's what they do. You don't control your money at banks. You don't control any of that capital flow. If I have a company in the CBD skincare industry, and CBD has been legalized now in the United States for about a year and a half, but guess what? I still cannot open a bank account with most major banking institutions in the United States to start the flow of capital. I don't control my money. Okay, so artists, a lot of time what I've noticed is they do not control their money either. Why? Because if they, sometimes I've realized artists will get money in from a certain venue that they perform at, and because their bank doesn't recognize that venue as a credible source of funding, they decline the payment. So I've had artists that their bank has told them, we're not going to accept this money because we think that it is not sound. This cannot happen with Bitcoin. This cannot happen with truly decentralized cryptocurrencies. If you accept Bitcoin or truly decentralized cryptocurrencies on your platforms for your software, if you are putting your content on the Bitcoin blockchain, like Yvonne has talked about, if you're putting your content on library.com, on these new decentralized applications, forget the YouTubes, forget all those companies you knew in the past, because they're outdated. You need to start thinking about these newer platforms, because what they're allowing you to do is control your content, to control the censorship of your content, and to ensure that no one can take away your money, and that you actually control the money you earn, you deserve, and you have the rights to. That, I think, is the most important thing to learn about right now with Bitcoin and what we got going forward.
Can I ask a question? Stock record and transactional record?
So, I mean, Tavon, I think you and I agree that the blockchain, what the blockchain has done for mankind is, from here on out, history will be truly cemented in stone. And what I mean by that is all our grandparents, our parents, everyone that lived before us, what history do we know about these people? What we've heard about them. That's it. That's all we know, what we've heard about them, right? But today, going forward, we have a technology where everything that happens now can be cemented in stone, in truth, on the blockchain, because the technology ensures that it will not be rewritten, it'll not be changed going forward. So, what's inspired me is that, I think that right now, going forward, we're going to be able to control our content more. The truth will be more sound because we don't have to question if it's true or not. This is something else that changes with people, is that we have a hard time thinking that computers, can actually tell the truth more than we can, but we've got that's more in sound. I think payments are going to be improved, and I think that humanity is going to really benefit off this, personally.
Right, and I mean, essentially, what it makes you is it makes you the bank. So it is going to make you the bank and cut out the middleman, and the bank it gives you a whole lot of power, and it disrupts the current power structures, which everybody's working on right now. That's what everybody's trying to do, and that's disrupt the current power structure. And there's no greater power structure we know than money. So when you can disrupt the monetary system, then this is the ultimate game changer.
Chris, I guess one of the other things I just want, again, the audience to know there is that what can they do going forward from today? Number one, they can understand that the future from today is in their hands. Number one, they have the power to control their future, right? Number two, they have the power to control the content and the money flow. How do they do that? Number one, library.com. That allows them at least to have content that's uploaded that they can control. Number two, if you're going to accept money for your content, which all of you should, it doesn't matter what you create. If it's music, if it's artwork, if it's writing, if there's anything you're doing for someone else as a service, you should be accepting a form of payment for that. Accept Bitcoin. Accept Bitcoin. Accept cryptocurrency, because that allows you to control the money flow. That allows you to be your own bank. And if you do this, and then you just listen to what content we're going to put out going forward, you're going to be able to control your path forward. A lot of this is being developed. A lot of the websites we talked about today are going to change a month from now because of the fact that blockchain is changing. All this is changing every single week. So they just need to be aware that there's a future. There's a brighter future. It's going to be way more inclusive for artists, content creators, and people controlling their own money, and they just got to follow us. That's just really what I want the main takeaway to be tonight.
Did I miss this question? What inspired me? I'll go into that. What inspired me to do the will? There's actually like a series of events This is actually my second startup. I also founded a company called Safe to Meet, which pretty much allows you to determine if someone is safe in less than 5 minutes. Almost like an instant background check. And in doing so, it was a 2-3 year adventure. We got a lot of traction, a lot of interest and stuff like that, but I came to find out, as some of my fellow techies, especially, women of color, that we don't get funded, especially women of color. We don't get money, so we have these big projects that are very costly, and we're bootstrapping these projects with literally the money out of our pockets, the money that would come to feed our kids and all of that. So that was one disheartening thing for me. It was like, okay, we have to do something to be able to create some funding. And looking at a lot of the tech projects that were coming out around that time, they were integrating blockchain, and they were able to get, they were able to raise their own funding from their community. So I was like, that's a very compelling thing. And then also the next thing was just my community in general. I'm very big on supporting Black-owned businesses and et cetera, and helping them stay open. And I was like, wow, this is something that would be an incredible impact. Years ago, I looked into things like alternative currencies. I knew about the Liberty Dollar and all these other kind of archaic things around 2000, 1990, I'm from my age. I looked into those things, and it wasn't very feasible back then for us to do those neither, because those are backed by, precious metals. So we don't have precious metals neither, so we can't. So what do we do? So in comes Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, this is it, and we can do our own too? Oh my gosh, So I immediately jumped in. I said, okay, gotta get on the development. We gotta make this. We gotta do it. And went kind of head first in. And so, I was heavily inspired by those two things. Also inspired by the fact that, 10 years from now, my kids might be spending some money that their mom developed. And I'm sure they're gonna feel really good about that. So, another inspiration, in terms of doing that.
All right. So I'll take this one to start it off. All right. So what are some of the marketplaces where people can buy/sell items with cryptocurrency, and what types of items can you buy and sell marketplaces? This is important to know. All right. So crypto is evolving very quickly. All right. The Bitcoin blockchain was considered like Bitcoin 1.0, right? Blockchain 1.0, and then all of a sudden we started moving into this world where everything was being tokenized online. So with that, to answer your question, number one, you can buy cryptocurrencies as a currency, like as and I guess this is a hard thing to maybe say, Ivana, but like as from what we know today, like currencies, there's normal exchanges in the United States. We know about Coinbase, we know about Kraken, we know about the Winklevoss twins exchange, their Gemini.com. Cash App is what I've been turning to people lately. Robinhood. You can buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, a lot of the major cryptos on these type of platforms. You simply create an account, you link your debit card, and you're onboarded. Obviously, you need to keep in mind your privacy, and if you want to be more private, there are more private ways to do that. There's decentralized exchanges such as Bisq.com, there's a lot of these. But those are where you can go online and you can buy your typical cryptos. You hear about currency cryptos. For people that are content creators, what you need to be looking into is what's called non-fungible tokens. Look it up on Google. Non-fungible tokens. Now, non-fungible tokens are what is onboarding the physical world into the blockchain, into the digital world. These are things that exist in the physical world that you can tokenize. For example, you create a song, right? You create a song, you have that one copy of that song. You can upload that onto a non-fungible token, which it just means it's a digital token that has your one song, your one digital content. And you can authorize how many people, how many rights there are for someone to listen to that. You can automate how much people pay for that. These are the new type of assets you should be looking into. Where can you look for these? OpenSea.com. I don't know if, Devon, I don't know if you can add to this, but I would just look up like non-fungible token exchanges. What I'm trying to build on with them is essentially that like a lot of their content now can go beyond currencies, cryptocurrencies. They can be these assets that exist online that they can share the rights in with others. OpenSea is one I've saw. What have you seen with non-fungible tokens? Anything like that at all, or what are you doing?
Are you talking to me? Oh no, that's not my thing as of yet. So, in terms of we are working on, we do have on our roadmap a music platform, but we haven't gotten that far. We got like a whole bunch of other stuff. But you did mention marketplaces where you can actually buy things, and you can pretty much buy, you can buy airline tickets, like I think on maybe Expedia, a couple of those types of things. You can buy airline and hotel. You can buy. I think Overstock has them now. Has Bitcoin. There's a lot of places that have Bitcoin options, and of course that's growing. I'm launching a marketplace as well, like next month. That's going to be strictly for Blockcoin and block vendors. So marketplaces are springing up left and right, and vendors are springing up left and right that are able to accept cryptocurrency because we're partners with merchant processors called Coinpayment. So Coinpayment, if you have a Shopify store, if you have a WordPress shop, a WooCommerce on WordPress, then you're able to accept cryptocurrency for your products as well. A basket of currencies, like including Blockcoin, but there are other currencies, you got Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. You can accept as a payment method for you on your store.
Posing at one of my thoughts so far. So, all right, being an artist that is in the industry like over 10 years ago, more and watching this and how it's been evolving, access was the main thing for us, right? So, you had access to DJs, which of course, especially now, COVID, you don't, but no one's playing anywhere. You need access to radio, you need access to other kind of publications and so on. So most artists that were signed, and not signed. They were backed by a hustler or an investor of any kind, right? They would go about paying DJs to play music. I've been on tours where I've seen payola, but in its own weird way, in order for DJs to accept gifts or people at the radio stations to accept gifts and so on, right? We all know it's a real thing. The other part of access too is like like you have record companies that would buy out, just when show my age now too, and you can still go to like a store and buy CDs, right? So you had record companies here in Orlando, any of the pop groups that came out, they sent their people to all the stores, the Virgin Legend store, wherever else, buy out all the CDs, and they'll spend a good amount of money doing that, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden you get like Greatest Gamers, right? So like Alicia Keys was one of those people as well. All of a sudden you have Greatest Gamers and you have Billboard magazines and so on. So access is a key thing. So now people don't really listen to radio that much. You have to just basically build your platform and your fan base, right? And so I like the idea of no one being able to touch my money in a sense. Other than, and this is a question you guys might be able to answer as well. How do taxes come about with this and so on? So if I can control everything, that's great. does it put you in a realm where you can stand out a little more as an artist, other than doing your own marketing and stuff like that? Is it something you can sell as like, hey, look, this is what I'm doing? How does it make me more attractive to my audience, one, and even to execs? You know what I mean? Like, you took in Chicago, Young Youth, SoundCloud, stayed independent. There's a lot of other artists that stayed independent built. But how does using this give you a leg up on maybe other artists who are not into it yet? I know that was a few questions in one, but either you guys feel free to,
You might want to answer that one. Sorry.
I think number one, content, right? What I've learned as an entrepreneur in marketing is content is king, right? We all knew that, but content really is king. If you're a musician or if you're an entrepreneur right now and you're tapping into crypto space, you're tapping into the network of who will be the wealth transfer into the next economy. So number one, what I'm saying is if you created a Twitter account, you made a song about Bitcoin, you made a song about cryptocurrency, you started tagging a couple people in the crypto space, you're gonna get a lot of likes, you're probably gonna get a lot of fact that the crypto space right now is looking for people to promote what's going on right now, which is true, right? I'll give you a good example. There's a couple artists right now, painters, that have been on board right now in the crypto space. One of them that I follow, his Twitter account is called Crypto Graffiti. This is an actual painter that has been able to take his paintings and his artists, like what he's been doing is like gearing his paintings towards the crypto industry, and he's been marketing it in the crypto industry, and he's been making a ton of money because he is tapping into this growing niche of passionate people about this one topic. And in my opinion, crypto solves a lot of the problems we have today. A lot of the problems stem from money supply, who creates the money, where money comes from, what is money, right? That is what Bitcoin solves completely. So anyone that's getting involved in the crypto space right now, I feel like is benefiting themselves tomorrow.
No, I just want to make sure, so now that sounds more exciting, you saying it that way too, because so there's a fan base within crypto that's ready to support crypto, right? And so if you have the right content and so on, and you get within that space and connect, and you're using that platform in order to create money for yourself and generate funds, then there's a good chance that if you try your best to kick with that audience, you stand a chance of grabbing that market share as an artist, whether it's fake, gardening or anything, like you have content and so on.
If you look up my artists I talked about, my skills up here.
Get it real quick, Mom. Get it real quick. Get it.
A lot of society not with that austerity, a lot of more on the streets, right? So we're very passionate right now what's going on in the economy. So if artists, like you said, just start gearing their content more towards the crypto community, I think there's a real opportunity for them because number one, these are people that are very passionate in the same topics that we are. Number two, these are people that have accumulated a large amount of wealth over the last 5 years than most of the world. These are going to be the new millionaires and billionaires. Any of us that get on today will be the next generation. So what I'm saying is that there's this unique opportunity right now to just target your content towards the crypto community with like-minded, a lot of more like-minded people as us, and you can benefit from not just the wealth they create, but the wealth you'll get, but also like you're building onto a community that's already thinking like you. So I definitely think there's an untapped opportunity in crypto for a lot of artists. And if you just look out there, do your own research, you'll find them. They're doing pretty well right now. Crypto Graffiti is one.